Good morning, y'all. Today we're going to be getting down to brass taxes and talking about money and chickens. And can you actually save money by having your own backyard chickens? And I'll tell you a secret. I know I said that idiom wrong, but my wife absolutely hates it when I say those things incorrectly. So, just for fun. So people get chickens with the intention of saving money on eggs from the store because they figure it's cheaper. But can you actually save money by having your own backyard chickens instead of buying eggs from the store? Well, I sat down for a couple of hours and did the math, and I was kind of surprised by the results. So let's take a look at this and do the math here. So we're gonna, for this example, have 6 hens, and we're gonna look at the first 2 years of their life, and I'll explain why in a second. So with those 6 hens, they'll eat on average of about 120 grams of food per day, which if you have a 50-pound bag of food that costs $19.99, that'll work out to an average of about 63 cents a day for your 6 hens, or about $19 a month for food that you're gonna spend. So the first consideration you have with chickens is for that first 6 months of their life, they're not actually gonna lay any eggs because they're still growing up and maturing. So you're gonna be spending at least about $114 in feed just for that first 6 months of chickens without actually getting any net back because they're still growing. So between their 6-month mark and the 2 years for this example, you'll end up spending another $19 each month. And so in total, over those first 2 years of their life, $19 times 24, you get about $456 in feed for their first 2 years of their life. So let's look at how you can save money, and that's primarily going to be through eggs. Now, it depends on which breed you have as to how many eggs they're gonna lay. But it could be anywhere from 150 eggs to 300 eggs per year, depending on that breed. So we'll use an average of 225 eggs per year for this example. That leads to about 0.625 eggs per day per chicken, which adds up to about 112 eggs per month for all 6, and in that first 2 years of life, about 2,025 eggs on average for those 6 hens. So if we look at the grocery store prices on eggs, they're about $3.99 for a good dozen of good size. So that works out to about 33 cents per egg. So if you do the math, comparing how many eggs you got from your hens at about 2,000, and you do the math per egg for 33 cents, that works out to about $670 or so in comparison. So I know that looks like you're saving money compared to the $456 you're spending on food, but you gotta take into account a few other things in that equation. And primarily, that's gonna be startup costs, things like food watering containers, as well as a coop. Now, coops can be expensive. If you go to Tractor Supply or your local feed store, they could be anywhere from $300 to $500. But in order to make this work for you and make you come out on the upside, I suggest actually making a coop. And I actually have a link below in the description to a sweet coop that I made back in Phoenix at our old house. So go ahead and check that out after this video. There is also another way that you can really help your bottom line with your chickens, and that is hatching your own eggs. Because not only can you hatch out hens to get more eggs exponentially, but you can also, well, you're kind of stuck doing it, you will get roosters in addition to that, which you can butcher once they're big enough and get meat out of it. So to do this, when you get started, instead of just getting 6 chick hens, you'll get a 7th rooster. Yes, it will cost a little bit more in raising 7 chicks versus 6, but it'll make up for it later, and you'll see why. Then once your hens start laying at the 6-month mark, what you're gonna do is at 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, and about 16 months old, you'll start grabbing 40 eggs at a time to incubate. Now, out of those 40 eggs each time, you'll have about a 50% hatch rate. Only about half will end up hatching. That'll give you 20 chicks every time, and half will be roosters and half will be hens. So out of all of that, you'll end up with an extra 40 hens in total, which will also lay eggs. And after that 2-year mark, those extra hens that you raised from eggs will give you an extra 468 eggs. Now the roosters, on the other hand, that you raise, those 40 roosters, you can eventually butcher for meat after they're about 3 to 4 months old, depending on the breed and how fast they grow. Now this is actually really good for your bottom line and helps you save even more money, because if you take an average of about a roast chicken or frozen chicken at the grocery store of being about $5.99, that'll work out to about $260 in savings in chicken meat throughout the first 2 years, just because you're butchering the roosters that you raised. So this method, by hatching your own chicks and butchering roosters and, you know, getting more hens, will actually net you in the end a total of about $480. So that's a profit, so to speak. So if you end up spending $400 on supplies to get started and a coop and everything else like that, you will still break even in your first 2 years, and then you'll continue to make money after that, or at least save money. So to wrap this up in a nice little bow, you can save money with backyard chickens, but you have to be careful and, you know, use your head when you're planning this out in terms of building your own coops and how you feed and water them. You also have to be ready to hatch your own chickens and be ready to butcher your roosters, because that is kind of difficult sometimes, and it took me some getting used to, even though I've only done it a couple of times. But if you don't want to even save money or try and go through all that hassle, they are a ton of fun to have around the house. The eggs are really good too, and they're just a fun creature to have. But beware, they are the gateway animal. You'll end up getting ducks, geese, goats, anything else after you get chickens. So if you guys are interested in getting chickens, make sure to check out the video over here somewhere about our chicken coop build that we did back in Phoenix when we lived there. It is a sweet chicken coop, and hopefully it gives you some ideas about how you can build your own coop. Also, be sure to click the subscribe button below, because next week's video is going to be about chicken breeds and which breed you should get for your backyard farm.